If you guys have been watching my channel for the past 1 or 2 months, you know that I love clean races. You know that I like hard racing, but you know that I also like fair racing. So when it came down to this race right here, this is a lot different of a lot of things that I've been up to task with when it came to racing in FIA races, any daily races, just racing in general on any platform, whether it was on Assetto Corsa, GT Sport, iRacing, anything of that nature. This is just probably one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life, and you guys are gonna ride secondhand right to this, and let's see if I can show you guys exactly what I had to deal with when it came down to this race. So we are here at Sardinia Road Track B in our Honda NSX. We were ranked in 10th place for this lobby as we did have 8+ drivers, S rank drivers, and A rank drivers. So I was expecting a good race here. A lot of these people are really fast. They are really talented and really good. And you know, I raced against these guys week in, week out. So I'm really familiar with most of these drivers. So when we were coming to the race, I was really happy to just show my pace off, see if we can get a lot of points on this race, and to see if we can increase our driver rating so we can get closer and closer to the top split. But again, what I saw here was just disgraceful when it came down to racing. But before we jump into it, if you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. And if you guys want to catch some of my live streams, I do live streams on a daily basis at twitch.tv/pxcam20. So if you guys want to catch some of that, check me out there. And that's enough wasting your time. Let's jump straight into qualifying. Now, as we jump into the qualifier, I wasn't too confident with the car, as I was really struggling on this track for pace. But if you were to run at least like a 125, a low 125, a high 124, you were able to get at least a really good starting position, as we were coming out of our first flyer lap, staying right behind the Audi as we come down the straightaway, leading us into the start finish line. We're just staying to the slipstream to help us propel us forward even more, and we get a 125.4, which was good enough for a pole for about a second, but then we got knocked down all the way to 9th place as we were waiting for the qualifying to finish. As we're waiting for the qualifying to finish, we just wanted to see if we're going to hold our 9th place here, as a couple guys got a lot faster of a lap time. You can see one of them got a 125 flat, and we were able to hold our 9th place position as we are now jumping into the intro. So as we jump into the intro, the strategy for this race, there really wasn't a strategy, as we were given the medium compound tires, and those are the only tires that we were given for this race. So we were just going to run the medium compound tires throughout the entire race, no stop basically, because the fuel consumption wasn't really bad. I mean, it was kind of terrible, but if you were able to keep the revs not too high and use the slipstream, you should be able to make it to the end. As I did see 1 or 2 cars not make it to the end, which I honestly don't know how they didn't do it. But yeah, it's going to be a no stop for this race, so let's see what we can do here. As we are jumping into the race, we get our 3, 2, 1, and we are a go, as we are right behind the Renault of them again here, going down the straightaway, leading us into the very first time past the start finish line. Heading into turn number 1, we're shifting left and right to get some heat into the tires as we go into turn number 1. Everyone gets through it pretty cleanly as we go a little bit wide out of the first corner, getting a little bit of loose, but we are able to hold it together as we're losing a little bit of time from them again ahead of us. But we're going to do everything we can to try to catch up to them, as the car right behind us is all over our back bumper, but luckily we're able to kind of pull away from him as we head into this right-hander. Coming to the right-hander, we get a little bit loose as we come out of that corner, and we have to sacrifice 9th place for the Volkswagen, but it's okay, as it's still a very long race. We still have about 12 laps left on this race, so we're just going to follow the Volkswagen here, try to get some consistent lap times, and see if anybody ahead of us is going to make any mistakes, or just try to get some pace and try to overtake these guys one by one. So coming to this left-hander, this is probably the hardest corner in the game in my opinion. As you can see, we get very, very loose coming out of that corner, and we were close to on the edge to get a penalty, but unfortunately we did cross the line and we did get a half a second penalty. So going to the right-hander, heading us into the penalty zone. We're staying right behind the Volkswagens. We're trying to get as close as we can to not lose a position as we head to the penalty zone. Have to serve our penalty, as the 11th place driver gets very, very close to us, and he's actually on our outside here, as he's all over our back bumper now on the radar. We just shifted to the inside, hold our position, as we are now getting our way into lap number 4. So coming to lap number 4, 10th place is looking onto the insides. He's trying to make an overtake on us, and we're going side by side as we head into turn number 1. As we make a little bit of contact with him, we get pushed out to the gravel. We can see ahead of us there's a gaggle of cars all beating and banging right here. Not sure exactly what's going on, as it was just a huge amount of cars just all close together within like at least half a second as we're jumping into the replay right here. The Ferrari just misses his braking point, gets very loose, runs into the Mazda, and I think the Mazda was just trying to get back onto the track, and the Ferrari actually let him go by through because he knew he made a mistake. But in doing so, it costed that 8th place driver a position. He did get hit by the Mazda, goes straight into the wall, and the Mazda actually gets a 1-second penalty. So not sure exactly why the Mazda got a 1-second penalty, and the Ferrari did not get any penalties. He was the one that caused the incident, but you can see that the Mazda is still ahead of the Ferrari, as the Ferrari did give the position back, as he's just getting very squirrely coming out of that right-hander, and we're just following them here as we head to the short straight leading us into this hairpin. So as we head into the hairpin, the Volkswagen is trying to make a move onto the outside of the Ferrari. We try to make him look onto the outside of the Ferrari as we're going side by side. We give the Ferrari the space as there's a car right behind us on our inside, but he backs out of there as we're able to get a good run coming out of that corner, and we're going to stay right behind the Ferrari as we are now nose to tail for our 5th place here, as all of us are just bumper to bumper. We're just trying to get through this as cleanly as possible without making any contact, as we're trying to make a look onto the inside of the Ferrari. Looking onto the inside of the Ferraris into this left-hander, we try to brake as late as we can, and we're able to get the position done as the Ferrari goes very wide, and we get the overtake done, and now focus our sights on 7th and 6th. So as we come into the first corner again, setting our sights on 7th, 6th, we actually get a little bit of a tap on the right-hand side from the Viper as he tries to make an overtake on the outside. It's going to lead into the inside, but we get the inside line going into here. He actually slams the door on us, and we get a little bit of contact with him, and we lose a position there. Actually, we lose 2 positions because of that contact, as we're trying to keep it onto the inside of the Volkswagen, but the Volkswagen pinches us down, and we make a little bit of contact with the curbing, and it just upset our car enough to allow the Volkswagen to get past us, and we now are getting pressured by the 11th place Ferrari as we jump into the short straightaway. So again, leading us into the hairpin, you can see that the Viper's trying to make a move onto the inside of the Volkswagen. They do so as they go 3 wide into this corner, and we actually get tangled up in their incident, and for some reason we get stuck on the inside, and you can see some cars went off into the side of the road as we go into the replay. You can see that right here, the Dodge tried making a move onto the inside of the Mazda. They go 3 wide, and something just happened. It looked like a glitch where they just hit each other, and everyone just stalled out. As you can see, we got stalled out right there as we hit the barrier, and then the Ferrari got stalled out, hit into the wall, and also the Volkswagen got punted into the walls. We are now going about 8 cars into his left hand as we make a little bit of contact with the Lamborghini. That was my fault, as I should have braked a little bit earlier, but you can see just the gaggle of cars ahead of us that are all fighting for position. So this is a really difficult battle here. There's a car on the outside getting very loose, and you can see that he's actually taken out, and he gets a 2-second penalty as we're coming out of the final corner. As we jump into the replay, you can see that the Volkswagen already has a 1-second penalty, and then the Viper just punts him out even further as he goes back onto the track. And you can see we're still getting bundled up here as we are going 5 or 6 cars into the straightaway, leading us into turn number 1 for, I believe this is 8th or 7th position right ahead of us. So we shift to the inside of the Nissan, as the Nissan got a really bad exit coming into that straightaway, and we're able to make the overtake there as we make a little bit of contact with the Lamborghini. That's the second time we made contact with the Lamborghini, but didn't hurt him too much. It's actually probably helped him, if anything, because we gave him a good shot, and he was able to get a really good run coming out of that corner and catch up to the Viper as we're heading to the left-hander. So coming to the left-hander again, we make contact with the Lamborghini as ahead of him. They got a little bit squirrely, made contact with each other, stalled out, and the Lamborghini ran into the back of them, and we ran to the back of the Lamborghini. So feeling really bad for the backup bumper of the Lamborghini, as we have ran into him 3 times, and all unintentional, of course, but it just was the circumstances that we were in, where we just had tight battle and he just got stalled out, or something would happen where we just made contact with him. But as we are now jumping into lap number 8, the Lamborghini did have to serve his penalty. We're able to make the overtake on him on the penalty zone. As you can see now, the Mercedes ahead of us has a penalty, and this is basically like Christmas for us, because all we have to do now is just stay right behind him, and we should be able to get an easy 10th place as we're heading to the left-hander, trying to avoid getting into the grass and onto the dirt, as we are doing a horrible job at that. As we shift into the inside, take a little peek on the Mercedes, but we back out of that move as we got very close to running into the back of him. But we are not going to be like these drivers ahead of us. They have just been forcing their ways into some of these corners, bumping each other out, missing their braking point. You know, it's just been a really ridiculous race, as we're just trying to stay right behind the Mercedes and just get around him cleanly, or if not, just overtake him on the penalty zone, as we're going to follow him here heading into the hairpin onto the right-hander. So heading to the hairpin, coming out of that corner, you can see that he gets a little bit of squirrely, but he goes into the right-hand side to serve his penalty. We make the easy overtake on him now as we set our sights on the 2 or 3 cars ahead of us, as we are heading now into lap number 10. So coming to lap number 10, we're getting peeked on from the inside. We make a little bit of contact with the car, but he kind of backs out of there, as I think he just went a little too hard into that corner, as we did give him space, but he is now giving us the space here, heading to the left-hander, and we're gonna hold our position here for another lap as we're heading to the left turn. So coming to the left turn, we get a little bit of a tap from behind, but nothing too bad, but we're gonna hold off our 10th place here as we now are jumping into lap number 11. So as we are now on lap number 11, the Nissan tries to make a cutback. As you can see, he does so and does a really good job at it. He's now on our outside. It's gonna lead into the inside, into his left corner. So on our inside, he is staying right next to us as we're going side by side onto this fast left-hander, braking as late as we can. We are unable to do so as the Nissan brakes very, very late, makes a little bit of contact with us as he missed his braking point a little bit and runs a little bit wide coming out of that corner. But you can see he's giving us the space on the inside for a chance to re-overtake him, so that's good on him as we're going side by side now, heading down this short little straightaway. You can see right behind us, there's a gaggle of cars right behind us that are just trying to get around us too, as the Nissan gets into the grass, gets very, very loose, and we're following him here as we're heading to the right-hander. Coming to the hairpin again, we're going side by side with 11th place as we're keeping on to the inside, but 12th place actually makes contact with us, and he's able to get around us as we lose a lot of momentum coming to that corner because of that contact. We make contact with the Ferrari, and we lose even 2 more positions, so we lost the span of 4 position in just 2 corners. So very, very bad for us as we are now stuck in 15th position, and it looks like the best we're going to be able to do is 10th if these guys ahead of us either wreck each other out or if we try picking them off one by one, as we are now heading down the straightaway for the final time on the 11th lap. So going into lap number 12 to head us into the final lap, we're staying right in the slipstream of the Ferrari ahead of us to see if that can pull us up a little bit more, but you can see that it's not really working here. So Ferrari clips the grass heading to turn number 1, tries to make a move onto the outside of the BMW as they're going side by side, and that is not what we want to see, because if they're going side by side, all that's going to do is slow us down and basically cost us a 12th place position. We are still trying to get onto the inside of the Ferrari as we head to the left-hander. Side by side with the Ferrari, we brake very, very early as the BMW braked really early, and we didn't want to run to the back of him. As you can see, the back of the BMW's bumper is just demolished. It's just destroyed. Paint's chipped everywhere, so you can see that that car has been through a lot of battles this race, as this race has basically just been a survival of not being rammed off the corners or just not being punted out wide through some of these corners. So we're doing an alright job here as we are not making any contact with some of these guys ahead of us, but you can see the BMW overdrives the right hand corner, and we are now getting onto the back of the BMWs. We give him a little bit of a shot there to give him a little bit of a bump to get ahead of the Ferrari, as you can see they're still going side by side, and the Ferrari and the BMW are actually racing pretty good. They're giving each other space here, as that's what we want to see, as we're just trying to figure out which car we want to go with to see if we can get a position from any of these guys. And we're shifting onto the inside now, heading to the left-hander. The Ferrari makes a little bit of contact with us, but we give him the space there, and he runs a little bit wide as we are now going drag racing with the BMW, going side by side as we head down to the start finish line. Who's going to get 13th position as we're getting a good run, and unfortunately the BMW is able to hold us off with his straight line speed, and we finished in 14th position. A very disappointing finish, as this race was just hectic. Honestly, there's just too many guys doing aggressive move, too many people running to the back of other people. I know we were part of the cause for some of it, but all of our bumps were very unintentional, as most of them were basically on the Lamborghini's back bumper, and again, those were very unintentional, but we didn't push him out of the way. We didn't wreck him, and even if we did, I would have waited for him, because that's not the way I like to race. But on the end of the race, a lot of people were going after the Viper, as I believe that he had a lot of incidents with some of these guys. So you can see that on the chat right there, that people were really going at him, and I've never seen someone get so hated on after the race, and that's not what we're here for, guys. If you guys see that someone did not drive well, I mean, voice your opinion, express your thought, but be civil about it. Don't try to bring a guy down, as everyone was just hating on this guy and just bullying this guy. So try to talk to him, try to see if you can try to work something out so that he doesn't do this in the future. But going at it this way, I just don't think it was the correct way to do that. But again, very, very disappointing with the racing for this race, as like I said, a lot of these guys are really, really fast and they're very talented, and they usually race cleanly, but today just didn't show a lot of people's positives, and it did show a lot of negatives when it came down to this race. So let me know what you guys think. Comment down below what you guys thought about this race or how your guys' race went. And if you guys really enjoyed the video, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.